When turning 40, you should consider a number of health screenings and lifestyle changes to help you stay healthy. And with our Alexandra Lewis turning 40, it is time to get serious about health screenings. So to help us keep track of tests and procedures you need after turning the big 40, we're bringing in our 9 News health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. Okay, Dr. Kohli, I'm 44, but I do remember when I hit 40, what is it about you're now over the hill? And then it feels like all screenings are like, when you turn 40, you need this screening, that screening. Why 40?
So I would say 40 is one of the biggest inflection points, Sam, in our life. And it's not just our physical life and our physical health, but even our emotional life, our financial life, all the things that we're juggling. And you and Alex are perfect examples. So if you think about it, your moms, your sisters, your daughters, your wives, your career women. So where does that leave time to be a person, right? And so that's really important to keep in the back of your mind. On top of that, you're starting to approach menopause. So it's sort of the beginning of the end of your reproductive life, so to speak. And then there's all these metabolic changes that happen in our body as well that can make it harder to sleep, harder to lose weight, harder to do a lot of other things. So physically, mentally, and emotionally, one of the most important periods, which is why all the screenings tend to sort of hit, because that's the inflection point where risk of everything starts to go up.
Yay, 40. Happy birthday, Alex. No, but honestly, when I turned 40, it was liberating for me personally, aside from, but the medical stuff should be empowering, and that's why we have you here. So let's talk about all those screenings. What screenings should you start, and should you do them on an annual basis, or does it depend on the screening?
It depends on the screening. So there's a bunch of screenings, and I want you to be doing this too. So blood pressure. As we get older, our skin gets wrinkles, and we spend a lot of time babying our skin, but our blood vessels get stiffer. So it's natural for our blood pressure to increase, especially in African American women. So you want to start to check it at least once a week at home on your own. And I'm hoping that you're going to start doing this so that you know if it's going up. Mammograms, our breast cancer risk. We know that most preventive guidelines recommend starting mammograms for average risk women at the age of 40. That's once a year. You may also need an ultrasound, or you might need an MRI. You want to get your cholesterol checked and something called a calcium score, which is an X-ray of the heart.
I have not done either of those.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I want you to report back to me exactly what you find with those, because cholesterol and lipid management should actually start in your 20s or 30s, but 40 is when you really need to start thinking about it seriously, because your risk of heart disease goes up. And that goes hand in hand with diabetes or pre-diabetes, because you start becoming more insulin resistant as your estrogen levels go down.
Wow.
So you tend to become pre-diabetic. And then checking your eyes, because we know that a lot of us start needing reading glasses somewhere in our 40s because the shape of the eye can change.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Kohli.
You have quite a list, Sam.
Thank goodness for you. Also, though, I do want, and I hope that this is something you and I can continue to talk about with Alex, is perimenopause and menopause. Because again, unfortunately, the more I talk about peri and menopause with other women who are, I think I'm in peri, we don't know what that is. So we're gonna have to have maybe an ongoing series with you to really dive deep into peri and menopause.
We are going to, Sam. And blood tests can help you, your periods can help you, but some of the changes that start to happen, your fat redistributes. So you start to notice a lot more fat on your tummy. And on your belly than ever before, right?
And everyone's like, Sam, you're so thin. I'm like, I'm naturally thin, but now I got a belly.
Exactly right. You lose muscle mass, Sam. So I don't know if you're doing strength training or exercises specifically focusing on strength, but you lose muscle mass. When you have less muscle mass, you have less metabolic activity at baseline, so you tend to gain weight. So it's really the perfect storm of a lot of changes that happen physically to our body, much less the emotional changes of perimenopause.
All right. Well, it's not, this is all good stuff, right? So I want people to understand that we all can be empowered when we turn 40, be our own advocates when we turn 40. And I'll tell you what, 40 plus has been the best years of my life. So we love you, Alex. Happy birthday.